Okay, let's start with this class. Yes. So today it's on April the 17th, yes? Well, we're going to work with Unit 4 today, and we have to finish Unit 3, yes? So please, let's go to page 36 from your book. Unit 4, it is Battling Nature. That is the name of this unit, Battling Nature. It has to do with survival, it has to do with people who got stuck or who had great problems related to nature, and in many of these cases, they were able to survive, okay? That is what we're going to read about, to go through during this unit. And as you can see in your book and in this slide, I include a map of Antarctica and also of a ship.
What
This
page?
ship,
Excuse me.
sorry,
What number of page?
well, it is page 36, Maria Jose.
Thank you.
Okay. It is battling nature, okay? And this is a very famous picture that was taken not many years ago of a very famous ship. It is called the, well, let me see. Oh, it is called the Endurance, okay? That is the name of the ship. And if you want to read something interesting, read about the final voyage of the Endurance. It is, I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'll talk about it a little bit. It is about the story is about a ship that set sail. I don't remember if it was from North America and it was coming to South America, and it was during the period of transatlantic journeys, and many ship leaders or captains uh, were really interested in going through Antarctica, okay? And this voyage is especially interesting because this ship got stuck in the middle of Antarctica in 1915 or 1914, more than 100 years ago, with 28 men on board. And the most important part of it is that none of them died. Okay, they waited and they spent a lot of time in Antarctica trying to get survive. The ship, in the end, sank. Okay, it is a story of a shipwreck. That is the title that we use to describe ships, and its or her captain was able to rescue all his men. And here comes something very interesting related to grammar. Whenever we refer to ships, we use the pronoun her or she. The ship or she sank, okay? I don't know why. It is one of the very few words that have gender in the English language. And well, if you want to go through it, it is a story of Captain. Here I have his name. Oh, let me check. Yes, Shackleton, yes, that is the name of Captain Shackleton. There is even a story written about this journey and the way in which they were able to survive. Well, um, to make things easier, I'm going to tell you just that the ship got stuck in the middle of Antarctica and they decided to wait on board until weather changes, weather gets warmer, then to go on with their journey. In the end, when the weather got warmer, the ship sank and they had to leave the ship and everything they had on it. They just had two or three boats and they were able to move from Antarctica from Weldon Sea, this part specifically, they went to, I don't remember if it was South Georgia, or yes, I don't remember if it was there. Well, and after 2 or 3 months, the captain was able to survive all the crew, okay? And it is very interesting to read the story. And nowadays, Shackleton is very famous when time comes to talk about leadership, okay? It is a very interesting story that I was reading yesterday, and I have already downloaded the novel to read about it. Okay, this is just the introduction of this unit, okay? It has to do with battling nature. So now, I want to talk with you about Antarctica, okay? So we have here a speaking focus. How much do you know about Antarctica? Let's do the quiz, okay? The quiz is at page 36. It is exercise 1. Please choose the options to or the answers that you think is correct for each case, okay? And then we're going to see which is the correct one. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Mhm. Antarctica has the world's largest what?
Desert. No, I don't know.
Desert.
Desert. Okay,
Desert.
desert. B is true, okay? You know that a desert is a place where hardly ever rains, okay? So in Antarctica, it doesn't rain at all. So it is the world's largest. Um, then we have number 2. Has Antarctica always been cold? What do you think?
Yes.
I
No.
think I think no. The answer is the A.
Yes, it used to be tropical, okay? Don't know when, don't know how many years ago, but that is what the book says, that hundreds of years ago, it was tropical, okay? And it had to do with the weather changes that it
Ah,
goes
always.
cold.
Okay.
Mhm. And
Always been.
and do you know anything about Antarctica, Maria Jose, that you are the one that
No,
learned?
but maybe uh, I can imagine.
Yes?
Maybe. No, no.
Okay. Don't know. Okay,
Lot
good.
of this place.
Okay. Which of these animals do you not get in Antarctica?
Polar bear.
Polar bears. That is what they say, okay? Polar bears are not found in Antarctica. Amazingly. I'm
Yeah.
What
impressed.
are seals? What are seals?
Seals are focas in Spanish.
Okay.
For who led the first team to reach the South Pole in 1911?
No.
You don't know?
No,
Roald
no.
Amundsen. That is, he was the captain that, or whose team reached the South Pole in 1911. Roald Amundsen. And 5. Why is Ernest Shackleton? Do you remember the Shackleton that I was talking about? 1908 expedition famous. Why is Ernest Shackleton's 1908 expedition famous? What do you think?
Ernest,
I think
Eh,
the B answer.
The men
I don't
survived.
know.
They didn't get to the South Pole. All the men
Yes.
died on the way back from. If you paid attention to me, you know that C is impossible, okay?
Yes.
Uh, and then A, everyone except Sherlock Holmes survived the trip. No, that can't be possible because
No.
I told you that it was he
But
who.
excuse me, in the other
Mhm.
it's B or C, the answer of the
Okay.
four.
Well, what I read, yes, what I read is that all of them were able to survive. The 28 men were able to survive thanks to their captain. Okay.
She's asking for the last one, not for this.
The
Maria
Sorry.
Jose is asking about the the point number
Oh,
4.
the first one.
yes,
Did you say Maria Jose?
the 4 point. It's B or C.
It is A, Roald Madsen.
Ah, no sé. O yo me perdí y usted la pasó muy rápido o no entendí.
No, maybe.
Perdón.
And what the book says is that the correct answer is C, that all the men died on the way back from the South Pole, but being frankly, I didn't read anything like that. In fact, it is famous because of um, all the men survived, and because of uh, many remains from this journey. I mean, notes, papers that were written by the crew. They were able to rescue them, and with them they wrote a lot about this journey. But I have to check it again. Okay, the book says it is C, but I'm not sure. So now we're going to go through listening focus, okay? Sorry, what about the other people? Do you know anything about them?
It's Javier Sonaco is here. And
Hello, Javier, good morning.
Sorry, I'm late.
Hi, and what about your crew, Javier?
Mariana, your
And
team.
Maria?
Oh, Mariana said me she can't be here.
Okay, I
She can't
understand.
attend.
Okay. Well, is anybody else there? Because I can't see who are connected or not.
Is there anybody out there?
What?
No, hay un tema.
Okay. Well, listening focus, okay? It is page 37, exercise 2 and 3. And what about Diana? Couldn't she get connected?
I
No?
don't know.
Okay.
Carla is a bit ill,
Yes,
but I don't know.
she wrote me,
I don't
okay? She
know.
wrote me some days ago. Well, okay. So here we have a listening activity where you have to listen and choose the correct option for each question. Okay. What does Leo say about Henry Worsley team? What does Leo say was the hardest thing for Wesley's team before the expedition? And what was easier for the 21st century expedition than for Shackleton's expedition? What problem did both expeditions expedition's experience? How did Wesley feel when he was crossing the Antarctic plateau? Plateau? And 6. The part of the book Leo enjoyed the most was when Wesley. Okay. And there is another one that I couldn't include here because I didn't have room. There was no room for it. That is 7. What does Leo admire about Shackleton? Okay, that is number 7. Well, listen and choose the correct option. Yes?
Uh,
Listening focus. Activity 3. Today on the travel program, we're reviewing a book called Following in Shackleton's Footsteps by Henry Worsley. It tells the story of Worsley's recent expedition to the South Pole, exactly 100 years after Shackleton's famous failed expedition of 1908. It's been chosen by my guest, Leo Stone, himself the veteran of several polar expeditions. Welcome to the program, Leo.
Thank you.
First of all, can you tell us about Worsley and his team?
Sure. The really unusual thing about this trip is that Worsley and his team are all related to members of Shackleton's team. Worsley is a descendant of Shackleton's captain, Frank Worsley.
So they had some unfinished family business.
Exactly. Worsley took the compass Shackleton used and his diary all the way to the South Pole. Apparently, this trip had been a lifelong ambition for him. Shackleton had had to turn back before reaching the South Pole, and Worsley wanted to finish the journey.
Amazing. Did the trip take a long time to organise?
Yes, it took them 5 years to prepare for this trip. They had to find the money, which was no easy task. As you can imagine, the costs involved were enormous. Then there was the physical training. You'd think this would be the hardest part, but Worsley had been in the army, so he was used to this kind of thing. And one of the team members had run a few marathons, so they were all relatively fit. It was actually the mental challenge that Worsley's team struggled with most, having to get their heads around a 900-mile journey.
So was the trip any easier for the 21st century team?
In some ways, yes, but they still had to walk for 10 hours a day with all their equipment. And then they had to put up their tent and cook a meal in what Worsley described as a frozen hell. But Shackleton was travelling into the unknown, with only a compass to guide him, while Worsley's team had a map and modern navigation equipment.
And did they experience any of the same problems?
They did. For example, Worsley and his team had to spend 2 days in their tent because high winds made it impossible to continue, which Shackleton also endured. But it was worse for Shackleton, because they were also very low on food at that point, and one of Shackleton's men fell seriously ill, which luckily the 21st century team was spared.
Did Worsley feel confident that he would reach the South Pole?
Yes, but he faced some very tough moments. Like Shackleton, Worsley's team went up the Beardmore Glacier, which was incredibly dangerous, with huge crevasses everywhere. And just when Worsley thought it couldn't get any worse, they reached the Antarctic Plateau. This proved to be even tougher going than the glacier. It's the coldest, driest place on Earth, and both teams experienced symptoms of altitude sickness. It was when he came face to face with the brutality of conditions there that Shackleton began to doubt he'd ever reach the pole.
Which part of the book did you enjoy the most?
The climax of the book is definitely when Worsley and his team arrived at the place where Shackleton decided to turn back. They arrived there on the 100th anniversary, and the excitement and sense of joy is really inspiring and memorable. Better even than the part where they get to the pole itself, or the huge sense of relief at arriving back safely. There are some amazing photos too.
Do you think Shackleton deserves his reputation as a great hero?
Yes, I do. I've always really admired Shackleton, and anyone who doesn't know anything about him should definitely read. His decision to turn back to save his men took great courage. That's why I think he's such a hero. He never did reach his goal, and it was Roald Amundsen who finally made it to the South Pole in 1911. There are so many lessons we, as historians...
Okay, listen again, yes?
Unit 4. Listening focus. Activity 3. Today on the travel programme, we're reviewing a book called Following in Shackleton's Footsteps by Henry Worsley. It tells the story of Worsley's recent expedition to the South Pole, exactly 100 years after Shackleton's famous failed expedition of 1908. It's been chosen by my guest, Leo Stone, himself the veteran of several polar expeditions. Welcome to the programme, Leo.
Thank you.
First of all, can you tell us about Worsley and his team?
Sure. The really unusual thing about this trip is that Worsley and his team are all related to members of Shackleton's team. Worsley is a descendant of Shackleton's captain, Frank Worsley.
So they had some unfinished family business.
Exactly. Worsley took the compass Shackleton used and his diary all the way to the South Pole. Apparently, this trip had been a lifelong ambition for him. Shackleton had had to turn back before reaching the South Pole, and Worsley wanted to finish the journey.
Amazing. Did the trip take a long time to organise?
Yes, it took them 5 years to prepare for this trip. They had to find the money, which was no easy task. As you can imagine, the costs involved were enormous. Then there was the physical training. You'd think this would be the hardest part, but Worsley had been in the army, so he was used to this kind of thing. And one of the team members had run a few marathons, so they were all relatively fit. It was actually the mental challenge that Worsley's team struggled with most, having to get their heads around a 900-mile journey.
So was the trip any easier for the 21st century team?
In some ways, yes, but they still had to walk for 10 hours a day with all their equipment. And then they had to put up their tent and cook a meal in what Worsley described as a frozen hell. But Shackleton was travelling into the unknown, with only a compass to guide him, while Worsley's team had a map and modern navigation equipment.
And did they experience any of the same problems?
They did. For example, Worsley and his team had to spend 2 days in their tent because high winds made it impossible to continue, which Shackleton also endured. But it was worse for Shackleton because they were also very low on food at that point, and one of Shackleton's men fell seriously ill, which luckily the 21st century team was spared.
Did Worsley feel confident that he would reach the South Pole?
Yes, but he faced some very tough moments. Like Shackleton, Worsley's team went up the Beardmore Glacier, which was incredibly dangerous with huge crevasses everywhere. And just when Worsley thought it couldn't get any worse, they reached the Antarctic Plateau. This proved to be even tougher going than the glacier. It's the coldest, driest place on Earth, and both teams experienced symptoms of altitude sickness. It was when he came face to face with the brutality of conditions there that Shackleton began to doubt he'd ever reach the pole.
Which part of the book did you enjoy the most?
The climax of the book is definitely when Worsley and his team arrived at the place where Shackleton decided to turn back. They arrived there on the 100th anniversary, and the excitement and sense of joy is really inspiring and memorable. Better even than the part where they get to the pole itself, or the huge sense of relief at arriving back safely. There are some amazing photos too.
Do you think Shackleton deserves his reputation as a great hero?
Yes, I do. I've always really admired Shackleton, and anyone who doesn't know anything about him should definitely read his book. His decision to turn back to save his men took great courage. That's why I think he's such a hero. He never did reach his goal, and it was Roald Amundsen who finally made it to the South Pole in 1911. There are so many lessons we...
Well, let's check, yes. Number 1, what does Leo say about Henry Worsley team?
It's B.
Yes. They had personal reasons for waiting to complete the journey, okay? Number 2, what does Leo say was the hardest thing for Worsley's team before the expedition?
Preparing mentally.
Yes, preparing mentally, okay? Number 3, what was easier for the 21st century expedition than for Shackleton's expedition?
They were in their equipment.
planning their daily routine, okay? They say it was easier for these men than for Shackleton's a crew. 4. What problem did both expeditions experience?
B.
Running out
Bad
of food.
weather.
No, bad weather, okay?
Bad weather.
Bad weather.
Oh, okay.
5. How did Wesley feel when he was crossing the Antarctic plateau?
He doubted his skills as a leader.
Huh?
He
Number
worried
B.
He was
B.
worried.
They worried they wouldn't reach the South Pole.
Okay.
6. The part
B.
of the book B. The part of the book Leo enjoyed most was when Wesley
B.
B.
arrived at the point Shackleton had got to.
Unit 4.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, 7. What does Leo admire about Shackleton?
His
C.
bravery.
His
C.
bravery. Yes. People, we don't have much time. That's why I'm going to be quite fast now, okay? Then we have the vocabulary section in this part of the book. It is from page 37 and the exercise is 6, sorry, okay? Match the underlined idioms 1 to 10 with the meaning A to J, okay? Here we have idioms. Idioms are expressions that have a specific meaning, and their meaning in general is not related to the word it includes, okay? Here we use idioms which include words related to the body, okay? For example, get their heads around, and I want you to tell me what this idiom mean, okay? And you have the answers on your right, okay? So take some time to read the sentences and to choose the correct meaning for each idiom, yes? Ready? Or not?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay, let's see. So, number 1, can you read Maria Jose's sentence?
Okay. The hardest part was getting their hands around doing 900-mile journey.
Okay. What do you think gets somebody's head around mean?
I don't do this because I don't know.
It could be understand or accept the idea.
Yes, it has to do with that. To accept an idea, okay?
Okay.
Number 2. Um, okay, Daniela, can you read, please?
Yes. When he came face to face with conditions there, Shackleton began to doubt he'd never ever reach the pole. I thought it could be in looking serious.
No. To
Be
be,
lying about too.
no. It is
I
to
think
be,
it's the G.
yes.
Very close to.
Yes,
Very
to be
close
very
to.
close to, okay?
Okay.
Very close. Number 3, Carlos.
Number 3, he's always putting his foot in it. He just doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut.
Okay.
I
And
think
yes,
it's J.
H.
no. H, say
H.
yes. Yes.
Yes,
Uh,
say yes.
say the wrong thing. And there's a very famous, or very common expression in Spanish that we use, and it's very similar to this one.
Face to face.
No, putting his foot in it.
Oh. Putting his foot in it.
Yes, meter la pata.
Oh, mete la pata.
Yes. Number 4.
Sorry.
Uh,
Which is
the
the
Spanish?
the
Meter
correct
la
answer?
pata.
No.
The correct answer.
H.
H.
Yes, say the wrong thing.
Okay, thank you.
4, Lucas.
My father and I don't see age to age. Perhaps our relationship will improve when I leave home. I
Okay.
choose get on with each other.
Yes, get on with each other. Okay, that's the correct one. E. What about 5, Javier?
Something in the distance caught my eye.
Okay.
Pay attention to.
Yes.
Attract attention.
Attract my attention. Yes, attract my attention.
Attract.
Yes, attract. Okay, let's see. 6. I must keep an eye on the time. I don't want to be late. Keep an eye on.
Pay attention to.
Pay attention. Yes. Number 7. Read it, Silvana, please.
I was really difficult to keep a straight face. He looked so silly.
Okay.
He looks serious.
Look serious. B. Okay. Look serious.
Feel able? I put feel unable to or not.
No.
No, it's
It was really difficult to look serious. He looked so silly. Okay. I'm beginning to get cold feet about the whole idea. Cold feet.
Feel unable to?
No. To change your mind. Okay. To get cold feet about something is to change your mind. I can't face going to work. I feel terrible.
Feel unable
Feel
to?
unable.
Feel unable to. Yes. Feel unable. What about 9 or 10? You need to put your foot down. Don't agree to working late every evening.
Say no to something.
Say no to something. Okay, say no to something. Okay, good. This is new vocabulary, okay? Try to use these idioms as much as possible. In this way, you're going to get used to them. And they are very useful expressions, okay? In many cases, you listen to them and you don't even realize that you heard them, that you hear them. And well, this is part from the previous class, and I need to finish it because I have some activities from Unit 3 to do. Well, last class we were talking about comparisons, okay? We were comparing things. We were talking about different ways to compare something. And here we have a box with some structures to compare things. Well, the first case we have the use of very. Remember that we use very plus the adjective. And the adjective must be in its base form, okay? It can be in the comparative nor the superlative form, in the base, okay? That is, for example, cold. It's very cold today. I cannot say it's very colder or coldest, okay? That's not acceptable. I need the adjective in its base form. It's very cold today. Then we have even, a lot, much, far, a bit, a little, and slightly, plus the comparative form. Remember the comparative when the adjective add er, okay? For example, he seems much better today, okay? Or this car is far more or far faster than yours. Then we have by far plus the superlative. By far. She is by far the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. By far. Then we have most plus adjective or adverb. And they say that most is has the same meaning as very, okay? This is most unusual. It is in the same way we can say it is very unusual. Then we have any or no plus a comparative, and it is used in questions and in negations. I can say the days aren't getting any warmer, or I want no more of that kind of behavior, okay? No more of that kind of behavior. Good. Let's go to the activity on the right, okay? Let's complete this text. Let's do it together, then I'm going to upload the PowerPoint for you to check if you want. And I'm going to include this part, the comparative form, in the paper of this week. Well, can you start reading, Lucas?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Dear Anita, I'm writing to tell you about the auction I went to last weekend. It was held in the largest house in the village and I can't see very well in the screen
Yeah, I am just
because
trying
it's
to
a
see.
little bit
Better?
much better. Yes. The house in the village uh, and the items being sold were far
The most beautiful.
Were far plus comparative. Were far?
the most beautiful
The
I
more
had.
No,
beautiful.
no. Far more beautiful than.
Uh,
Okay?
okay.
Far more beautiful than I had expected. Okay? Continue,
Okay.
Daniela.
I saw the prettiest bed
Yes.
I've ever seen, but it was also the most expensive item there. So I couldn't afford to buy it. I bid for some chairs. They were far nicer than mine.
Mm, far nicer than mine. Don't use they,
Nicer,
okay?
nicer than mine. But unfortunately, someone made a better offer than me, and I couldn't afford to make a higher bid.
Okay, yes, higher bid. Well, you two committed the same pronunciation mistake. Be careful with item, okay? That is a pronunciation. Item.
Okay.
Okay, continue reading, Javier, please. We can't listen to you. So know if you're still there.
Sorry, yes, I'm here.
Okay.
In the end, I bought the smallest item of all. Although it was not cheapest of all. It was gold locket, which I'm going to give to my older daughter on her older daughter on her 18th birthday. I think it's lovelier necklace I ever seen, and it was easy or easier to carry home a set of chairs. I enjoyed the auction very much and hope to go to the another one soon. Perhaps next time you will come with me right soon and tell me all your news. Love,
Okay.
Mary.
Okay, thank you. Let's check it, okay? So in the end, I bought the smallest item of all. I am comparing one with many others, the smallest. Okay, although it was not the cheapest of all, okay? Then we are comparing one with others again, the cheapest. It was a gold locket, which I'm going to give to mine. The people who were having classes with Miss Rosario last class have to know that the correct option is eldest.
Eldest.
Eldest. Remember that when we talk about people, we say elder or eldest. And when we talk about things or places, we talk about old, older, okay? My eldest daughter on her 18th birthday. I think it's the loveliest or the most lovely. Both options are correct. When we have adjectives and ending in y, we can use most or we can add est, okay? It is the loveliest or the most lovely necklace I've ever seen, and it was easier easier. There I changed the Y for an I. Easier to carry home than a set of chairs. Good. Let's go to the next slide. Complete quiz question 1 to 6 with the comparative or superlative form of the adjectives in brackets, okay? Let's sum it up. Okay, which country has
The biggest tourist industry.
Yes, the biggest tourist industry. Number 2, where do you get
Sunnier weather all the sunniest?
the sunniest? The sunniest weather all year round, okay? The sunniest. Number 3, which city is
The most
More polluted.
More polluted.
more polluted? I am comparing to Melbourne or London. Which city is more polluted? Melbourne or London?
It's Melbourne.
Okay. And which is?
The rarest.
The
The
most
rarest.
rare.
The rarest.
The rarest.
Yes, the rarest mineral in the world. Which is the rarest mineral? Which country has
The most intelligent students as math.
More
Alguien
intelligent.
está terminando fuerte en el micrófono.
Yes,
The most.
the most. Because I'm comparing one country students with the other country students. Okay. Then we have number 6. Which country has
The best.
The best.
No.
record on environment protection? One with many others, okay? So now, please, this is from the exam maximizer. Don't know who has this book, page 24, exercise 1. I'm sorry I had to tell you this at the beginning. And now I have the answers to these questions, okay? Tengo acá las respuestas para las preguntas anteriores. But they have some mistakes that we have to correct. Fewest than 2 or 3 crystals of painite, which is said to be the rarest, are found each year.
Perdón.
Where is the mistake? Fewer, okay? We have than, that is from the comparative, and fewest, than comparative, and fewest is a superlative form. So fewer, okay? Fewer than 2 or 3 crystals of painetine, okay? Fewer than. Switzerland, but my country, Australia, is much worse than I thought. After much, we need a comparative form, okay? So you may think worser, it ends in ER, it's correct. No, remember that worser is irregular. So worser is not appropriate. The correct form is worse. There is an extra R there at the end that is incorrect. So it is worse without the final R. Yuma in Arizona, the sun shines for more than 90% of the time.
More than?
More than 90% of the time. So in Korea, students get by far the high scores in math tests, but they're not as better as some other subjects.
Highest?
As better as.
The highest scores in math tests, but they are not as is extra, is not necessary there, but they are not better at some other tasks, okay? So highest and us. Us is extra. E. France has the more tourist visitors, but China is getting more and more popular.
The most.
The most, superlative form. The most tourist visitors. And F. London, though they are trying to get lesser people to drive their cars in the center of the city.
Yes.
Less, okay, less. It is not lesser. It is less. There is an ER extra there, okay? Be careful with that. Now, I want you to match these answers with these questions, okay? I'm going to read the question and you tell me the answer. Which country has the biggest tourist industry?
France has the more tourist
E.
visitors, but China is getting more and more
That's
popular.
a bit better, okay? It is E. Where do you get the sunniest weather all year round?
C.
C.
Sí.
Which city is more polluted, Melbourne or London?
F.
F.
London. F.
F. F.
F.
Which is the rarest mineral in the world?
Trinity.
A.
Yes. Which country has the most intelligent students at math?
D.
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 D. And which country has the best record on environment protection?
B.
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 Now let's go to the next, and I think it is the final slide. Put the adjectives in brackets into the comparative or superlative form, adding any necessary word, okay? Let's see. Did you enjoy the film? Yes, it was the funniest film I've ever seen. Jamie's very tall. What would you write there?
Dollar.
Taller.
The tall, the
tallest.
tallest.
The taller.
The tallest.
Tallest.
I am
The
comparing
tallest.
with many others, okay? He's the tallest boy in our class. Was it a good party?
Sorry, teacher. Is
Yes.
tallest or taller?
Tallest.
Tallest.
Tallest. Okay.
The tallest.
I left far
Later.
later than I had.
Yes, I left far later than I had intending to, okay? Far later. 4. Did you like the black dress?
The far more expensive.
It was far more expensive
Than the blue one.
than the blue one. Far more expensive than. Why do you want to go to Spain?
Because it's much warmer than England.
And England.
Yes. Do you enjoy your job? Oh, yes. It's
The best.
The best job I have ever had.
yes, the best job I've ever had. Okay, let's see. 7. Did you enjoy your job, María José?
Yes.
No puede preguntar eso tal, bro.
It's the best job she ever had.
Yes.
Yo respondo por ella.
If you
Vos
need
porque no
any,
está tu jefa.
Claro.
If you need any farther, okay? If you need any further help, just ask me. Further. My teacher is very clever. Yes.
is the most
She's the
Rosario.
most intelligent
The
woman.
most
Intelligent.
intelligent woman I've ever met. Okay, good. Dinosaur were
The biggest
Were
house,
the big
bigger, or
no
bigger.
were bigger than
done.
houses.
Okay. How much did you pay for that bag? £5. It was
Cheaper. No.
For
It
one.
The
was
cheapest.
the cheapest. I
one
am comparing one with many others. The
One I
cheapest
had.
one I could find. The exam was really difficult. I agree, it was a lot.
More difficult than I
More
expected.
difficult.
More difficult than I had expected. Have you heard James playing the piano lately?
Yes, but he doesn't seem to be getting
Better.
better.
Bad. Okay. Good. So, for next class, that is for next Friday, finish the review from page 35 from the book, okay? It is exercise 1 and 2. So, hey people, we're going to have, let me see. There it is. We're going to have Can you listen to me? Yes? Okay. Or not?
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yes.
we're going to have 5 minutes break and then you get back with Miss Rosario, yes?
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, see you next
Okay.
week.
Bye. See you.
See
Bye.
you. Bye bye.